60 seconds to comply.
I think you'd better do what he says, Mr. Kenny.
You have 60 seconds to comply. This is minute 74, part man.
Pod machine. All pod. This minute begins with the news reporter saying it was a day of mourning and ends with Boudica addressing Barbara, the secretary.
I started laughing there because one of the earlier notes is that so this is the peace platform space layer that misfired in the last minute.
Yes, we have 2 retired presidents that were killed in Santa Barbara by the laser. Great job, guys. Very peaceful.
Well, that's it. Is 115 confirmed dead, including 2 former presidents. And it's like that's a hell of a ratio, you know. I'm not going to suggest it was targeted, but Jesus.
Yeah, it's a bit of a coincidence.
It is one hell of a coincidence. And we're assumed to a certain degree that these were both in Santa Barbara. I don't know, whether in the same building or something. I have no idea.
They were visiting each other at the same time. It was orchestrated. It's an inside job.
Illuminati confirmed.
Yes.
But most of my notes, and when I say most of my notes, I'm literally talking about half a page here, are casting notes. Because we finally get some new named and dialogue characters in this movie. It's been a while.
Yeah. I guess it's going to be a certain point where there are no more new characters introduced.
I know.
It's a weird thought.
And IMDb will be forever silent.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to move on with that, unless you've got something else you want to go on with first.
We should be glad that this isn't 2001: A Space Odyssey, because once you get onto that Discovery, there's only 3 characters. There's no one else.
So I'm just seeing there's 3 humans and a voice. There's that. Yeah. You got all those lovely 70s shots of like people technically in the future, but
yes, future past.
So
speaking of future pasts,
so the scene is they're talking about the impending strike by the cops, and I'm gonna do this in order of interest. Mm-hmm. So we're introduced to Peter, the homeowner.
Yep.
Played by an actor,
which is a big deal in the year 2022.
Yeah.
A homeowner. Whoa! Holy shit! Call the president.
Yeah, we can. Well, they're dead now, unfortunately. So.
Oh, yeah, right. Which one?
Both of them. Oh, that would be amazing if, like, the White House had been moved to Santa Monica, and that's where the laser hit. Anyway, so played by Michael Hunter. Not many IMDb credits.
His name is Mike Hunt. His name is Mike Hunt. And yes, I am pronouncing it that way.
Mike Hunt. Only 4 roles. Obviously not a huge actor. First role is Robocop. Second role, I can't believe I didn't even think about this for April Fools. He has a bit part in the movie called Rotor. R.O.T.O.R. This is one of those movies where...
Oh, I have heard of this one.
I keep coming across it and go, I really should watch that. And then never did.
Yeah, no, it's definitely on the... You need a B-grade movie night. I think everyone needs a group of friends to do that with. It's very important, because, like... Okay, I'm kind of curious about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, but am I really going to watch it by myself? No, absolutely not. That would be miserable.
The first one... It's alright. I don't... People go, oh, it's the best video game movie ever. No, it's a really mediocre movie, like, in many ways. It's just such a cardboard cutout movie. It's a cookie cutter script.
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely one you need to be drinking and goofing around with friends. But my brain, once we were talking about Mike Hunter, then my brain went on to a tangent of creating this character called Kunta Svensson. And I don't know who he is yet, but I'm going to keep formulating who Kunta Svensson is.
Well, we'll find out. So Rotor is basically a robot man who's supposed to be basically a cop robot, but goes crazy and starts going on a killing rampage. So ROTA stands for Robotic Officer Tactical Operation Research. Yeah, apparently, well, I think it was on IMDb. Someone pointed out somewhere, it's like it's basically a B grade rip-off of the Terminator and Robocop, and I'm down for that.
And this came out, it's the same year as Robocop. So...
I think it came out the year afterwards, but yeah.
1987?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if it came out after. Yeah, so I think Robocop came out beforehand, but not by much. So they probably would just...
They would have had to have been in production roughly at the same time, though.
It would not surprise me. But some of these movies...
Well, it's like those asylum movies. They get leaked, the scripts of a major blockbuster, and then they just make their own version of it.
Well, no, it's really interesting, because there was that time period a few years ago where, like, two movies would come out, and they would be almost identical. Like, you'd have, like, say, Deep Impact and Armageddon, just off the top of my head. There's been a few of them. And what actually happens is, interestingly enough, is that a script... I think we talked about this in like the previous minutes. Sometimes a script goes around Hollywood for months, if not years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes even decades. Like, there is a list of like the best scripts never made, essentially, and occasionally people will crib from that, and a movie will get made. Like, something will just get enough traction, and weirdly enough, like a movie will be shot for years, never get made, and suddenly a studio will pick it up, and another studio that had that script, maybe we should make this. Go, oh, that movie we wanted to make, but we didn't buy the script for, that's being made. We'll just pay someone else to knock off a rip-off script and produce it at the same time. That's happened so many times.
Side note, Judge, Jury, and Executioner is the tagline for ROTA. Very, very familiar.
Yeah, so yeah. I'm looking at the picture, and there's a bit of dread in there as well. So yeah. It looks like it's going to be an interesting one to maybe talk about, maybe in future installments of this podcast.
So the news reporter, she's wearing a purple sweater, and I don't even wear sweaters, but that is the most 80s thing I've ever seen.
You're looking at ROTA still? Because I'm going, that news reporter is not a lady.
No, I'm trying to bring us back to
I was just about
Robocop.
to.
Yeah. But so she's wearing this.
Lisa
purple
Gibbons,
sweater.
yes, she's
and then in the next minute we'll see a great purple outfit as well. So it seems to be on trend right now. But yeah, absolutely would wear it.
Going on our cavalcade of casting. So this is probably one of the most interesting looking guys in this entire movie. Kiva Rosenberg, unemployed person.
Yes. And I always thought they legitimately just found some random dude on the street. He looks so legit. He sounds so legit. But no, he's played by James Strathkiel, I think. And had a lot of bit parts.
This was his second movie role.
Yeah, he had a lot of bit parts after that, especially in the 80s. And he's working right up until 2009. And he died in 2016 at the age of 66.
Yeah, damn, you got most of my notes here. So the one IMDb note, what I loved is often mistaken for Eddie Van Halen. If people think it's Eddie Van Halen in this scene. And I think his very first role was transvestite in the movie The Yum Yum Girls. It's something weird like that. He's in The Incredible Hulk, Dynasty. He's done a lot of TV. Oh, Cagney and Lacey he was in Murder, She Wrote. X-Files.
Everyone was in that show.
Yeah. It's a shame that for how much crap this guy's been in, there's like no Star Trek, there's no Knight Rider, there's no 80. He's in Matlock. Matlock. It was a role he did immediately after Robocop.
I guess you have to be more in the NBC studios side of things. Because if you're in MacGyver, you are in Miami Vice, you are in Knight Rider, you are in Airwolf and A-Team and all of that.
But I do love the politics behind calling him the unemployed person. you can dismiss what this guy says because we have an homeowner here, and he's correct in that cops shouldn't be striking. But this rambling hippie,
Yeah.
it's brilliant. I do have one final casting note, and this is the one I've been really excited for. Mm-hmm. The reporter who goes, how's this for a name? The reporter's character's name, Justin Ballard Watkins, played by Bill Farmer. So if you go to Bill Farmer's IMDb, not suggesting you do it right now, but he has over 200 roles. 231. Most of these, admittedly, are the one role. He's the official voice of Goofy.
Oh my god, it's Mother Yuckin' Goofy!
Yup! His first film role was Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
As Goofy?
As Goofy, yes. I think.
And anyone else, or...?
He's also the voice of Pluto.
Of course. That raises even more questions. Hang on, Pluto can talk now? What?
I don't know. Well, there's always been the... why is Goofy wear pants and Pluto doesn't? I remember people going like, oh, that's because Goofy's a cow. No. No. How is he not? No.
But also we see people eat meat in Disney cartoons, so... Oh, hang on.
Disney's weird. This guy's also done a ton of video game voice roles. He was also in Space Jam as the voice of Sylvester, Yosemite Sam, and Foghorn Leghorn.
I say.
Yep. And yes, he was actually... he is the official voice of Goofy. So yeah, he's been the voice of Goofy ever since Roger Rabbit, including the movie I haven't seen, but apparently the internet has fallen in love with, a Goofy movie.
Yes, I watched that recently. It's really great.
I've heard, and so it's weird to go. It's one thing to go like, oh yeah, we're no longer in the era of say like Mel Blanc, who would do all the voices and would always do all the voices.
No, his name is Troy Baker now. Every fucking video game, it's Troy Baker.
I thought it was Nolan North.
No, he actually doesn't do as much, although they're probably neck and neck.
I do love that Nolan North has a cameo in the Uncharted live-action movie.
Beautiful. I hope that he just shows up and just says, it sucks! This sucks! Like how, I've been watching... God, this is such a tangent. The Muppets 2015 series, and Lawrence Fishburne shows up on a golf cart, and he just keeps shouting that the show sucks. And I'm like, we need more moments like that in movies and television, I think.
Yeah, as much as Hollywood has, like, tried to lampshade itself in times... and is allowing a bit more, critical analysis. Yeah, we just need some more batshit stuff like this.
Yes.
And also, Lawrence Fishburne's just always great. He's just
wonderful,
one of those
delightful
guys.
Cowboy Curtis. Hell yeah.
I'm trying to find the other, because he also does another significant role in the Disney canon. I think it's Horsecollar, that's it. And that's like, that name keeps pointing up, and I have no idea who that is. Oh, sorry, I'm just scrolling through his thing. He's in the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy as Stank Williams. The other credit that I love is he's in one of my favorite all-time LucasArts point-and-click adventure games, Full Throttle, playing a news anchorman. So he's gone from a reporter to an anchorman. This guy's credits, he's done a ton of voice work. I think Robocop is his only on-camera live-action work. So, yeah, this guy's got a ton of different stuff. Like, you just look through it and it's like, just saw there,
we were just talking about this before. Oh yeah, just before we were recording, talking about the difference between recording a podcast and recording video. And yeah, I can see why people go into voice acting full time, because it is just so much easier. You just get right to it. You're just talking. There's no lights to set up. There's no makeup. There's no costume. You just go for it.
Yeah, it's funny how I'm not trying to sound demeaning when I say this, but it's funny how some actors who, for lack of a better term, were has-beens, just because, Hollywood is I'm going to use a word, of a industry. I'm going to bleep it out anyway, but it is such a
quintessence of an industry.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to bleep Svensson, because at least that sounds like a real name.
Yeah.
But it is a bitch of an industry, and if you no longer be the flavour of the month, no one wants to deal with you. But it's amazing how many of these actors are good actors. They'll just pivot to voiceover, and they'll have an extremely great career just doing voice actor work. They're not necessarily going to be famous, because, well, let's face it, it's, for the most part, voice acting is such an underrated thing.
June Foray was playing Rocky from Rocky and Bullwinkle from the beginning until she died not that long ago. She's in her late 90s, I think. So she was playing that character for, oh God, must be 60 years or so? And you can still do that.
Well, the names that come immediately to mind is like Mark Hamill, Will Wheaton. People like that who are like considered to be like washed up actors, at least back in the day. Like Mark Hamill, nobody wanted to touch him for the longest part, and I think it wasn't until he booked Batman before playing the Joker, and they originally didn't want to cast him as the Joker because they thought it was going to be stunt casting, but because it was originally going to be Tim Curry.
Yeah.
So it just shows you how much these careers tend to go really well just doing voiceover work, but you have to be a good voiceover performer.
They all float down here, Robin. They all float.
Now that's the crossover. You just want to see Batman beating the shit out of that other clown, don't you?
Yeah, it's a very particular fetish that the entire world has developed. A Batman beating up a clown man. No idea why. I don't know how to explain it to someone who is not aware of this. But
no, the problem is modern day internet. Everyone wants to throw their support behind the fucking Joker.
Yeah. Anyway, we're getting way off track.
Yeah.
So the last half of this minute is we see Dick's office being cleaned and repaired, and I mean, there's not much to say other than I love this minutia and seeing the city or a building or whatever recovering after the big superhero fights.
Yeah, it's funny you never really get that. I think the only time Marvel's ever come close to that is Spider-Man Homecoming, where a major plot point is that.
Yeah, or the A symbol on the Avengers Tower was destroyed. Yep.
That was
really
cheap.
That was it.
Yeah, that was cheap. I liked it, but that was cheap. Stark tearing the Iron Man. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Stark Tower. Then it was. Yeah.
That was cheap. That being said, I finally watched No Time to Die with Bond, and how many times it's just like, hey, remember that Bond is a movie? It's like, oh, fuck off.
We're still relevant as a franchise. You know what? Oh god, this is another tangent. But yeah, just make Bond set in the 60s. Just fucking do it, you cowards. It would be more fun that way. What I'm asking for is Austin Powers 4, essentially. That's what I want.
The funny thing, the sad thing about Austin Powers is that I think, okay, so there's only one good Austin Powers movie, and that's the first one. The rest of them are okay. Almost all the satire went out of the next few films because, the joke of Austin Powers is he's a man at a time, which works excessively well for James Bond. So there was a video game called, I think it was No One Lives Forever, and it was basically it was a first person shooter spy thriller with it's a female agent. Like, if I reach over to my shelf of video games, I might be able to pull out one of the boxes, but I can't remember. But it was basically 60s Bond fun, and it's like I would. For all the thing we have of nostalgia and stuff like that, it's weird that we don't get many retro fun things like that.
Yeah, and it also seems to be the nostalgia is mostly fixated on the 1980s, the 60s. 60s was a great time. There's some great cultural stuff. Yeah. Check out The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. It's adorable.
I haven't seen that in so long.
So cute, love it.
You only watched that for Devon
from
yes.
Knight Rider. Yeah, Devon from Knight Rider is in it, so that may have been the reason why.
You look like crap.
Fuck you, kid!
So 80s feeding into the 60s. But yeah, I think the 60s was great, and I'd like to see that make a resurgence.
Like, there's so much you could do with a 60s retro Bond movie, like maybe talk about, like, the civil rights movements, or even things like, or and you're basically at peak cartoonish wars against Russia and shit like that. You could do so much fun with that. So it would be interesting to revisit that era in the context of Bond.
My final note for this minute is just that Boddicker is looking fresh AF, as the kids say.
I was going to leave it till the next minute to talk about that suit, but he's looking pretty fly there.
Yeah, I think they did some interesting things with Boddicker in terms of costume design. I mean, we've spoken about it before, that they kind of wanted to give him this intellectual look, and yeah, he's got this grey suit going on, black button down. We'll say, I think they call it a grandpa collar sometimes, or not quite a mandarin, but yeah, it's this unusual stand collar kind of shirt underneath. So it's very subtle, but it's just minimalist, slick, timeless.
Yeah, it's and it's a far cry from what we've seen Clarence wear in previous minutes. Like,
yeah, so he's kind of dressed up for the occasion. He's going to the OCP building. He's got to look the part.
Yeah, like he's always been well dressed in the sense of, like, he doesn't look like a hobo, but he's always looked a little bit disheveled in previous ones. But I guess
it's just very casual and practical, and what we would call tech wear, just very practical, active clothing.
Yeah, but it's not like he was going into a business meeting. But it's funny now to think about, for a guy that's on the run, criminal, shady, underground, he's always been well presented. I think the glasses are part of that.
Thinking more about, earlier I was going to talk about this. There's the homeowner and the unemployed person. And I don't know, it just sort of made me realize those are the subtle ways that the media manipulates our perception. And it probably happens all the time. We don't even think about it, but just the wording or the framing, it's still telling the truth. But you're framing it in a certain way that subconsciously tells an audience how to feel about it. Yeah,
no, that's an absolute good point. Like, that's media analysis is all about this, especially news media. There's no such thing as unbiased news. Realistically speaking, there's no such thing, because every news station has got a filter and an opinion and a direction of what they're talking about. And this is not just pointing out the obvious ones like, say, Fox News. Even left-leaning news sites have a bias. They have an agenda. So it's always good to question what they're saying, why they're saying it, and who they're saying it to.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess both of us, we are communicators. We do podcasts, we do YouTube videos. And so, yeah, it's, especially, I get all these comments, people responding to certain phrasing that I use or terminology I use, and they call me out on that, and I just go, well, I mean, they're kind of synonyms, right? But then to someone else, maybe they're not, or maybe those two words are very different from each other. It's hard to get into specifics, but yeah.
Context is always key, and there's always terminology that, well, this is where you start getting into the rabbit hole of, say, dog whistles and stuff like that, is where, so the other day I was out Mount Lawley, and there was a bathtub, like, art installation piece there, and some prick had put a Let's Go Brandon sticker on it, and I got really pissed. Partially because your shitty political agenda has been put on a piece of public art, fuck you. But also, what's really the victim complex of the American right, where they're going, we can't say fuck Joe Biden. You know what? Fuck Joe Biden. I'll gladly say that. I think he's a piece of shit. And I'm progressive. I think he's a piece of shit. And a lot of people on the left agree as well. But these people are like,
it has nothing to do with political allegiances. I hate that. That's the other thing. Especially in America, the divide between one extreme and the other is so extreme. Whereas, no, sometimes individuals are dickheads. It doesn't matter if they're left or right.
Yeah, I mean, fuck Donald Trump as well. I mean, fuck them both. But it's funny how they've developed this own victim complex, but that's pretty much American Christians as well. They've got this victim complex where, like, you censoring us, so we're going to make this term that we're going to, tap our knives and say, let's go, Brandon, because we're really saying fuck Joe Biden. It's just like, oh, guys, come on, fuck off. Just say fuck Joe Biden. Go ahead. Anyway, but yeah, so it's phrases are interesting, and as soon as because I don't think I ever really truly noticed that, unemployed person. It's just now feels so on the nose. But we also live in a world where Fox News will say the weirdest fucking shit. Like, what was the one they just did recently about how Disney is communist? And it's like, what? So they're trying to cancel Disney because they are going against the Don't Say Gay bill, which they initially did endorse. And these conservatives will, oh god, the amount of times they blow up over the dumbest things, it's just like...
So, should we get into gaslighting Robocop?
So, it's interesting thing, I've got some script notes, because in the original script... I've got some great notes coming up still. I'm only halfway down my page.
Oh, I thought you were stretching. You were talking about American politics? Okay.
I went on a tangent in my brain, because I wanted to get to this. In the original script... the description of an old hippie, bearded, stoned, a button that says US out of Mexico, and the overtext says Kiva Rosenberg, shopkeeper. Here's the funny thing. There was supposed to be a third interviewee. Sister Teresa Platek of the St. Mary's Center. The script has her say, crisis is God's way of searching for the truth, and if we seek it with him, we discover our own humanity. Crisis can be a good thing. It brings people together. That feels like the moderate response.
Yeah.
I do have a couple more notes. The book actually goes straight to... so this is the first time Media Break actually turns up in the book. It actually goes from the OCP building with the Robocop rescue straight to Dick. And that's where the meteorite starts playing out. Remember I brought this up a long time ago about roughly where this movie is supposed to be set. This is the part in the book where it explains the date. I think I brought it up before, but I'll go over it again. It was revealed today by doctors at the Texas Clone Institute that Hollywood immortal Sylvester Stallone died yesterday during an unsuccessful brain transplant. A longtime supporter of bioengineering. Stallone was 97. His last film, Rambo 38, Old Blood, will be released posthumously next month. So yeah, according to this, Sylvester Stallone is 97 years old. So Stallone was born in 1946. So if we add those two numbers together, we get the year 2043.
Okay.
So, I do one last bit of commentary notes, and then we'll move on to Paul referring to the dead president's space lab fiasco. It's still a warning to the government, really, to look at this more before they really start wanting to install these missiles. So, this is definitely a commentary on the whole. We've talked about it before, the nickname Star Wars program, and I think this is a little bit of a slight. Yeah, this will come and bite you on the ass. Don't worry about it. So.
I wonder which presidents they were, because they could be ones who are alive now. You don't know.
Well, that's the funny thing is, because if this is set 20 years from now, look, there's a good chance that a few of the presidents will still drop off the perch. But, maybe Obama, maybe W, maybe even Trump. Although, I don't know, that guy's not the most healthiest of specimens.
No, my money's not on him surviving that long.
But, if you say 4 to 8 years of presidential term, there's a good chance you can get through 2 to 3 presidents by the time we hit this this magical number. And so, yeah, it could possibly even be Biden living that long. I doubt it.
No.
But yeah, so I think that's why it's so interesting that 2 dead presidents. 2 presidents. Anyhow, yeah, I'm all noted out, and oh god.
All right, it's time for gaslighting RoboCop.
Alex, how do you feel? I feel fine, Dr. Norton.
Yes, we do, because we made a commitment and we're gonna see it through to the end, even though we both hate it. So, minute 81 begins with vroom and ends with blackness.
We could really compress the next few minutes together.
All right, 82 begins with blackness and ends with pew
It's
pew.
just a shootout.
And 83 begins with shooting and ends with Robocop scanning for prints on a gun with his eyes.
So my first notes is, wait, he's vulnerable against 50 caliber bullets, and actually quite common caliber in handguns.
Yeah. Yeah, they hadn't finished doing the molecular bonded shell there, I guess. Ran out of budget. Only 80s kids will know what I'm saying. But, yeah.
So my only 3 notes for these, because there's nothing really to talk about. It's just a gunfighting scene. My other 2 notes were dueling night vision, and this is probably the most pertinent. This is all flash, no bang.
Yes. Yeah, I think this is purely an action sequence. It does go on for about 3 minutes, and I find this quite interesting to break apart just to see how it gets things wrong. So first thing is, yes, night vision is cool, but I don't... Like, please explain how they thought that would provide any kind of advantage against a robot man who undoubtedly has night vision built in. You've actually put yourself at a disadvantage there, because if anything happens to your night vision, you're fucked. If anything happens to the robot's night vision, well, that means you actually killed him, because he would have had to shoot right through his head. So
they literally take the robot man covered in black paint and stick him in the dark. So basically make him more camouflaged?
Mutants, Magneto is attacking New York again. Wolverine, with your adamantium metal skeleton, go and fight it. Like, fucking pick your opponent.
That is so fucking true for the X-Men cut. I was gonna say cartoons, no, it's X-Men across the board.
Just fucking all of them, yeah. Yeah, so that's basically the logic here is, you had so many strategies. This is a robot man. Maybe use some like EMP type technology, use something to interfere with electrical transmissions of some description. You see what I'm saying? So there's the first disadvantage. They've gone for something that looks cool, but says nothing in the plot. And that's something you have to take in mind. I'm not a big fan of action sequences, but action, when it's done well, what it should be doing is furthering the plot. And what should be happening here is primarily just showing how ungodly powerful RoboCop is, even though it's so late in the fucking movie. But yeah. This could have been the moment where you go, oh, holy shit. He's able to do all sorts of horrifyingly, inhumanly perfect, powerful things. We don't get any of that.
No. Well, if we go... Okay, so we've skipped minutes ahead, purely because, oh dear God, we're never going to get through this fucking movie. But if I'm just going to quickly go to the equivalent minute of the original movie, and by minute 84... we're practically halfway through the steel mill. Yeah. Well, at least so we're basically, we're halfway through the third act. We're at the start of the action sequence with the steel mill. And so we're finishing off the movie by now. And it feels like we've barely started this film.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
This is the cocaine shootout scene in the original film, which happened like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
If not longer.
This feels like this movie is only just getting started, and yet I cannot tell. I've reviewed this 1 minute mostly at a time, and I don't know where those minutes went. What the fuck has been happening in this movie?
the cocaine shootout scene in Robocop happens 1 hour in.
And each one of those fight sequences, I remember every single fight sequence in Robocop, the original.
Yes.
The remake, I'm going, oh yeah, they did have that training session, and then they had the digital training session and the physical training session, and I guess they did do the...
I remember the bad training montage, and I remember the Lights of Feather Robocop doing aerial ballet with the two ED-209s.
If anyone has seen the movie Upgrade, and you should, Upgrade is a great movie, but it's about a guy who has this AI implanted in his body to allow him to walk again, but it also gives him these amazing physical abilities, and so that's what these sequences should be. The way that Upgrade is really inventive in his choreography, and it's so intense, and it's just, he's doing these superhuman things, and you get this real sense of power, and it's exciting, and Robocop does none of this. It's very straightforward. It is not making me believe this guy is he's just a guy in a costume. I am not for any minute believing, he's actually a robot and he can do things that only a robot body could do, which is frustrating because you have CGI now that looks pretty damn good. Why are we doing it as a practical costume? Why are we limiting this character that should be like something out of Alita Battle Angel?
No, that's probably the perfect thing you're saying right there. What you want is essentially a blend of the two, because you want some of that realism there. You want to know that this character has a physicality that CGI can't provide, but you augment it. You augment the physical with the CGI. That's what we've talked about in the past. Like, why don't you make him a bit more subhuman in his skeletal structure, or maybe have like
elongated, or maybe his arms are just a little bit too long compared to the rest of his body, or he's got digitigrade feet or whatever,
or even like have like structural parts missing, like maybe there's gaps in his torso where you can see pistons or something like that. You do, or maybe there are servos you can see physically moving on the costume. It doesn't have to be on the final battle. Not, the final fucking armored version of this looks worse. Yeah. But, maybe in the training montage where, he doesn't have all the armor and it's more critical that he doesn't get shot to pieces by fake bullets.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most beautiful robot in modern film is probably Ultron, and it's because you're seeing the complexity and you believe that this is a machine, and there's so much visual interest, even though he's just silver. But there's a lot of visual interest going on in terms of how those lines flow, and there's a real elegance and kind of an Art Deco quality to him. And what they've done with this Robocop is
none of that.
They're not. Again, there's no innovation. It's just, we want it matte black. We want it to look like a motorcycle. And I mean, some motorcycles can look cool, but they really haven't done anything aesthetically that is going to stand the test of time the way the original Robocop does. You could draw Robocop from a lot of different angles and he would still be recognizable. He's still unique in a lot of ways. So that's another reason this fails. But
we've seen some of those like knockoff Robocop adverts and stuff like that, and even when they've got like horrendously parts of this costume wrong, like there's one Japanese one where his upper arm are like square. It's weird, but it's still recognizably Robocop.
And I think that's something we're losing more these days. So in costume design, we are trained to focus a lot on silhouette, and I probably mentioned this in other podcasts as well.
That's the same analogy with animation. So, it's a key thing.
When you look at the original Robocop silhouette, it is everything down to his fingers looks so unique. Whereas if I was to make a silhouette of the new Robocop, other than maybe the visor, there is nothing about that that is different from a Tron Legacy costume or a Batman costume.
Yeah, look, I'm not a foot guy, but like even RoboCop's beans have an
Yeah.
iconic look to them.
Yeah, the RoboFlag just has boots on. He's just wearing standard motorcycle boots. So again, that's emphasizing the fact that it's just a costume. When you have those toes visible, it shows that no, he's actually using this for balance. He's not wearing shoes. His feet have to do the whole job. So yeah, again, why did they do none of this?
It's like cut to the the Jeff Goldblum quote from Jurassic Park.
Yep. So the other thing that's letting this scene down is you've got this big bombastic score, but there's absolutely no point in having it in a scene like this because it's almost entirely drowned out by gunfire. You either emphasize one or the other. Is this a music sequence and you want us to really focus on the music and the emotions that evokes, or are we focusing on the realism of the gunfire and being in the moment and the frenetic quality of that? And you know what? So I've been comparing this to a lot of other action sequences, and not even from great movies. So one I was looking at was Transformers. The Michael Bay Transformers movies. They have a lot of issues. However, music is not one of them. Steve Jablonsky's soundtrack is fantastic. It's unique. A lot of other soundtracks actually rip on that soundtrack. And the main reason why is because it's allowed to take over. There's so many moments in those movies where the sounds disappear, and it is just that music.
I'll be honest, as much as I'm hypercritical of Michael Bay as a visual storyteller, I can't recall ever having an issue when it comes to, music or anything like that. Maybe a lot of the, cliches that Bay does.
Talking over. Yeah.
Yeah. But, no, I can't think of a time where I went, man, this music selection fucking sucked.
Yeah, the only audio stuff I would call out the Transformers for is just everyone's talking over each other. They're kind of trying to do that Steven Spielberg thing, but it's not really.
Dialogue is not one. Yeah, dialogue is definitely not a strong suit.
Another action movie, well, in particular a sequence that I compared this to was the gun carter in the dark equilibrium scene. So this is I loved it. It came out when I was 10 years old, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And I could see how silly it is now, but I think it was genuinely coming from a place of passion and. Whoever the filmmakers were, they wanted to do some really interesting things in terms of cinematography and choreography. And so what we see...
It's a lot of fun, that movie.
I'll explain the sequence. Yeah, it's definitely not a boring film by any means. So I'll set up the sequence. Christian Bale runs into this room. There's all these bad guys in there that they've got... Well, quote-unquote bad guys. The plot. Anyway,
he's smashing the state at this point.
Yeah, so the door is closed. Instead of opening the door, he just launches himself at it, somehow flawlessly knocks that door onto the ground. He slides into the room on the door. Then it gets dark behind him. I don't know if the other riot police actually put some shields up or whatever to keep the light out, but anyway, then there's complete silence. And when I was watching it on YouTube, I thought, oh shit, is my internet frozen? Oh, no. No, it's like complete darkness, complete silence for about a minute. So
it's the calm before the storm moment.
Exactly. You have this moment to sit up and go, oh, hang on. Something wrong? What's going on? And then you hear whispering, and with my headphones on, it was really well done because it was, they were pushing them right into the left channel or into the right channel and all of that. So you had this sense of perspective. And then Christian Bale starts shooting, and it's just this impossibly fast, flawless thing. And then, he effortlessly takes everybody out. And I think that is what you wanted out of this sequence, that you wanted it to be tight and intense and precise. And what we got instead was a very frenetic, generic sequence that doesn't display the true capacity of a Robocop.
Yeah, this is pretty much the training scene just done in darkness, but the real threat is not. Now they've got real bullets.
Yeah, all he does is shoot, take cover, turn around from behind a pillar, shoot, continue. There's nothing. And nothing clever or original.
It's a fucking Call of Duty sequence.
It is basically, it's a Call of Duty sequence. And that's the thing that amazes me. You know, okay, if you don't get all the emotional stuff and the nuance and all of that stuff, the subtext, political, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you didn't get any of that right. But you can't even get the action right.
Action?
That's the most frustrating. You know, if this was just a dumb action movie with great action, I would be having a better time. I might actually be able to forgive this movie more in terms of, okay, it didn't give us some things, but it did give us one thing. But no, it gives us none things.
Yeah, I think one of the other problems is that because they were basically trying to make this a PG-13 film, and I think that's one of those problems, is that they were really, really so set. If they'd have actually shot this as an R, well, shot this like the original shows, and maybe then edited it down, it could have been better.
Well, that's the thing. You've got Deadpool, and Deadpool re-released in cinemas. There was a PG version and there was an R-rated version because they knew a lot of kids liked Deadpool as well, so they kind of had their cake and ate it too.
Well, the fun thing about Deadpool is that they released the PG version a year or so afterwards, and added new scenes with Fred Savage.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So it's like you are deliberately being just the biggest douchebags in many ways, just because, like, well, yeah, we're clearly cleaning up on trying to make this a thing, but we're also like, we're trying.
But you know what? I can admire that, and there's still some sort of creative integrity there, and I come across this often with Alien, especially after Alien versus Predator. I think 20th Century Fox, rest in hell. They thought of Alien as being like Predator. Predator is just this PG-13 action boys movie, really, macho. No, Alien is the most, transgressive, feminist horror of all time. It should be about rapes. It should just so much rapes, okay? It's not for the kiddies. And so when they made Alien versus Predator, I think they forgot that, this is a sadosexual horror film, existential horror film. It's not action. And now I'm reviewing Alien Covenant. I think Prometheus actually, it avoids a lot of the action bullshit for the most part. They were letting Ridley do what he actually wanted to do, but then Alien Covenant is just make aliens, just make it aliens.
Well, I was going to say that's unfortunately also one of the problems is that yes, the second movie in the franchise was an action thing that basically did away with a lot of the horror aspects, or at least a lot of the themes of the first one. And that's me saying that as someone who actually really likes Aliens. Like, I prefer the first movie still.
I have the most conflicted relationship with Aliens because I love it. I think it is a big, dumb, crowd-pleasing movie. Like, how could you hate it? It is just so satisfying. And yet, I mean, it's a total bastardization and bimbofication of what came before it. But, I mean, it's still fun.
I'm not that beholden to you have to stick to a genre. I think if the genre works, go for it. Like, I think Aliens works as a dumb genre action film, like how I think Alien works as a phenomenally great horror film.
Yeah.
I think you can take these universes and run with them in different ways, and that's one of the things I do like that the MCU is embracing, is that it's finally, not finally, it's been doing it for a few years. It's happy to have a horror thing. It's happy to have a comedy. You don't need to pigeonhole it. But I think Fox did not know what the hell they were doing in that franchise, though. Exactly as you're saying.
Yeah, and Robocop, I feel every once in a while there's a glimmer in this remake of what the director wanted to do, and it feels like it wants to be more of an emotional, psychological family drama in a way. And I would have loved that. I would have loved to have seen a really straight, they play it really straight interpretation of this story. That could have been fun, but compromises were made.
Or even because he was a documentary maker, could you imagine this in the same vein of the documentary style that District 9 was? The whole idea of, a fly-on-the-wall idea of, like, maybe this Robocop is this new thing, and as you're going through with this character and you're unveiling his past at the same time he is, because, maybe it starts off with him not knowing what his past is. Again, one of my big criticisms of this movie is that he seems to lose his identity and gain it back within the span of 10 minutes, which is bullshit. And that's the problem with this scene, is that this scene stems from Robocop losing his identity, and then he's avenging his own. But the funny thing is, they call it avenging his own murder. He did not die.
Yeah. He
didn't even fucking die in this film.
Yeah, pussy didn't even die. God, what are you...
The Chad Peter Weller versus the
I want to draw that now. I can see it in my head so clearly.
That's the fucking drop now. The Chad Peter Weller.
Yeah, but oh god, I love your idea of a documentary style. That would have been great. And so it's like, okay, I'm adding more layers on top. So it's actually an OCP funded documentary. It's just supposed to be like this marketing campaign, or here is the new product from OCB, and then the more they delve into it, the cracks start showing, and then you start realizing, there's more to this. And we already know the plot of Robocop, but it's about how you convey that information. So if you play it like a mystery like that, and slowly show the cracks, yes.
I think early on in this project of ours, I was one of those, like, I'm not big on telling studios how they could do their things better. I like trying to reconstruct things based on what we're seeing. But honestly, with this remake, there are many different ways you could do this story better. And I think that's the problem we're getting to at the moment. It's like, fuck, you could have had something brilliant on your hands here.
Yeah, generally, if I'm just doing a succinct review, I will just say, it didn't really work. These are the reasons why it didn't work, but I won't start rewriting it. But I think when you're doing movies by minutes, this is actually a really great exercise in going, well, this irritates us, so what would we do? What could get us excited about a Robocop remake? Yeah. So I think it has value in this context.
Yeah. Oh, it's just funny how many times throughout the last 70-odd episodes we've come at this movie and gone, if you just changed one bit, even at this moment, you could have made this just so much better. And it's amazing how many death by 1,000 cuts this movie almost is at this point. It's like so many points of this movie when you just change this one thing, you could have vastly improved it. It doesn't have to be an entirely new movie, just one thing.
We could have had it all. We can't sing that song or use a clip from Rolling in the Deep, but just yeah.
Oh no, the fucking copyright laws, bastards.
So shall we wrap it up?
Yeah, I've got nothing more to say about this entire film, I guess. But where can the lovely viewers find you?
You can find me at traviandesigns.com, patreon.com/traviandesigns, The Greatest Regeneration on Instagram, and Courtney Colson on YouTube.
And you can find me on Helios Photos and YouTube. Facebook?
YouTube.
No, you can find me on Helios Photos and Fandom Crossing on the Facebooks and a bit on the YouTubes as well. I occasionally, sometimes, maybe, possibly do Kung Pao Enter the Minute.
When you feel like it.
RSVP.
Yep.
When I've got time between tape and Robocop, you don't have much time. But more importantly, you can find us on Symbolcast, Spotify, Apple, Google's, wherever pods are podded. with the pod people, I guess.
How much pod
like,
would a podcast pod if a podcast could podcast pod? Fuck, that's hard.
That's a good one. How much pod could a podcast pod if a podcast could podcast? Hang on. Fuck.
Yeah, it's a good warm up though.
Anyway.
We'll do that when we warm up for our podcast.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, gotta remember that one. Yeah, and like, share, subscribe, rate, review, all that bullshit, and feed the algorithm. God knows we need it. And until next time.
Introducing the new Robocop SUX.
You're just coming on my one last minute.
Did you do the Robocop SUX?
Yes.
Oh, you
Yes,
did?
I did
Oh,
that.
damn.
That's all right. That's all right.
What was my... Oh, I didn't write... I should write down my other ideas, just in case. I should have had a backup.
I've already got my next Robocop ready and loaded.
I'll just do a plain Robocock, then a clean one. Robocock, so that we need to take pride in our Robococks. You know, we can't just be repeating.
Oh, I'm using that one. I'm using that one. We need to take pride in our Robocop.
Yeah, no repeats, no half measures. The full measure of a Robocock.